EARSC represents the Earth Observation Services industry. It has 75 members from all across Europe. The association is 26 years old. EARSC's vision is for a marketplace for Earth observation services for Europe. This is where Copernicus data, alongside other sources of data, along with value-added information and products, can be offered by the companies working in the sector. We do a regular survey of the sector. We've found that it's a very fragmented sector. There are something like over 450 companies working in Earth observation value-added services and data products across Europe. Most of these companies are SMEs. In fact, 99% of these companies are SMEs, which means less than 50 employees. 63% of them are in fact micro companies, which means less than 10 employees. So it's a very fragmented sector. But it's a very innovative sector, and it is healthy. It's growing at a steady rate of 8 to 10% per year, and it's keen to leverage the value of Copernicus. One of the big hurdles, as I've mentioned, is the fragmentation. So we need to work together. We need to bring together industry, but also bring together research expertise, research know-how, also bring together the public institutions across Europe, bring together the demand for Earth observation services, and move to a situation where consumers of geoinformation, geospatial information across Europe, be they from commercial enterprises to public organizations, are sourced as services from the marketplace. So that is a key challenge to overcome. The second one I'd like to mention is this boundary between what's offered by public institutions versus what is offered by private industry. So at the moment, there is no clear definition of what the overall scope of the publicly funded Copernicus services are for Europe. And this holds back companies in our sector because companies are reluctant to make major investments in developing new services if there's a threat that some point in the future the same service might be offered for free by an institution. So we would like to see a very clear boundary between what is publicly funded services offered by Copernicus and what our industry can consider as the baseline upon which it can then build its value-added services. At this conference, we heard from Andreas Weisbach, who made it clear that he would like to put in place a very clear definition of what is included in the Copernicus core services, and he would like to put in place a very clear process for how new things are added over time to those Copernicus core services. And that is very welcome. A third challenge area I'd like to mention is the access to data. So our sector very much relies upon operational access to data from the Copernicus services and from the Sentinels, upon which we can then build our value-added services. Alongside the data, we need access to processing capacity, to network bandwidth. We need access to the appropriate tools, software, and this is another big challenge for our sector to overcome, because the very small companies cannot invest in the big infrastructure, be it computing, be it network, be it tools, and it would be very, very beneficial to see that made available to companies operating in our sector, that they can use these tools, use the data, use the processing power to build their services and make them available to end users and customers. The EARSC community would like to see the Commission focus on three things. The first is, as I've mentioned, clarifying the boundary between what is offered as public services in Europe and what is available for the private sector to develop as commercial value-adding services. The second thing we'd like to see the Commission do is stimulate demand. So the consumers of geoinformation services across Europe, particularly the public consumers of that type of geoinformation, should source that geoinformation as services from industry wherever possible. And the third thing we'd like to see the Commission do is help us leverage Copernicus. So engage the private sector to build platforms that can make Copernicus data accessible alongside adequate processing power, alongside tools and know-how, such that our sector can build value-added services and make them available to customers all over the world. It's a very interesting time, very exciting time, and we're very, very excited to be where we are today with the Copernicus program. We look forward to success in the years ahead.